I by no means am a professional when it comes to drawing or being an artist, but in order to learn something, you have to study it. So come join me for that. Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you are returning. And if you are returning, you'll know that I've spent some time trying to draw landscapes and practice it. Not as much as I do characters, but I try. And I thought it was about time to sort of reapproach landscape studies and practice. So I hope you join me for that. I'm going to tell you about the study, how I approached it, and what I learned. Did I learn a lot? Debatable. But the way that I approached the landscape study this time was I gathered a whole bunch of reference photos and I tried to limit my time, how long I spent drawing each, to less than an hour. Now, the reason why it's so effective in doing this and the goal of it was to sort of get the general rules and ideas as to how to approach landscape studies and how do you block these things in. Because sometimes I get so focused on the small details and how they relate to one another that I forget that artists work from the background and sort of the general information and then start refining as they go on in the piece. Essentially, what the time limit does is it helps me focus on just get the general idea down. Do not worry about the details. And then once we get the composition and the contrast in, then we can start refining. If we don't have time to refine it, great. It still looks like a cliff and there is some sort of composition to it. And that's the beauty of learning. Because if you made me do this maybe 3 years ago, I would have panicked and told you, oh man, it looks like a hot mess. Just because I wouldn't have taken the time to do the general stuff before working on details. It's a great exercise, and this is not to trash realism artists because I was that realism artist before. But you have to vary your exercises and studies in order to get more efficient. And I hope to learn more about studyings and different methods of it. But for now, I did the time limit, get the general ideas down, and see what parts are distinguished in each reference, such as backgrounds, this cliff is darker, the foreground is a shadow, but the midground has some contrast and is lighter. All those beautiful kind of values and things that you learn once you do things often. And the other thing too, I found it very helpful to also watch other artists draw and their workflow as well. There are a few, which I'm going to tell you guys right now. So there is Clockbird's Background Tips for Beginners, Process Medibang Paint Pro. Obviously, since we're using the same program, it really attracted me. But on top of that, it was just nice to sort of get an idea as to how one person might approach landscapes, compositions, and just watching the process, because that sort of inspires you to figure out what's a good process for you, and it exposes you to so many different ways people create, and it can help you hone in how you would also like to draw. Another great one is Pronko Digital Painting Basics, Simple Forms to Complex Paintings. Once again, it's going over like the breakdown of forms and sort of how to start general and then refine details after. And one of the final ones that I will mention is The Geek Artist, 10 sketches in 10 minutes, digital speed painting time-lapse, concept arts. This one is just nice to see the workflow and how to break shapes or break elements down into shapes and sort of block in the elements of your composition, your piece for a good composition. Very helpful to see how other people work, and that's how you can learn, is based off how other people works and the tips and tricks they are willing to share to you. Now, in saying that, I know that people usually say that a poor worksman blames his tools for bad outcomes. Look, I'm not blaming Medibang or anything like that, and I'm not saying you have to invest in Photoshop or like crazy applications and stuff. If you want to, that's fine too. But I'm just saying that I'm not endorsing how you create and whatnot. What I will say is finding the right brush that you love to work in really does matter. Because for a long time, I was wondering where do I get chunky brushes and like flat brushes and whatnot. Because I use Medibang Paint Pro, which is a free program. It's fine. It's good. It's fine. I still use it to this day. I've used it like 4 years after since I found it. It's good. I was trying to find a flat brush that could be chunky enough to block in landscapes and do cliffs and had this like sharper edge compared to some other things. And that's not to say like you can't use a round brush or whatever. Once again, it's finding whatever brush that you love. And I fell in love with this brush so much. This is the brush right here. And yeah, if you would like to give it a try, look for it in Medibang Paint Pro. Love it for landscape, and it just has texture and it's so nice, and graphic designer and being an artist, just texture is just mwah, chef's kiss, okay? Okay. But that also matters heavily in your work in general. But for environmental, chunky brushes and flat with a lot of texture can do wonders for you, especially when you work on cliffs and mountains. Anything else though that I have to say? Practice is always important. I should mention that, I've since then I have practiced other landscapes as well. Super happy about it. Very fun, and the brush made so much of a difference. So find what you're comfortable with. Expose yourself to other people's process. Don't be like, oh, I'm copying someone's style. I feel so bad. Or I'm copying someone's art. As long as you're doing it for the sake of studying and to learn and not just copying their art and then selling it as your own or claiming it as your own. Don't do that. So many videos of stealing like an artist that is good and explains this a lot better than what I'm doing right now. But to practice and to learn, it's good to use reference photos. Don't be afraid of them. And just try your best. And don't worry about your first ones looking like crap. Warm up and buckle in because it's going to be a journey, but you will see improvement at some point in time. And if you want evidence of that, first digital landscape versus most recent digital landscape. So practice doesn't make perfect, but it does make progress. And I hope you guys keep that in mind and don't become intimidated when it comes to learning new subjects, different styles, and all those lovely things. In saying that, I hope you guys all stay safe, stay hydrated, and have a wonderful day. Bye.